So we got some good news out of Washington this week. Senate Republicans earlier this week put forward the HEALS Act, which is a follow-up to the CARES Act. Now, this act is full of over $1 trillion in goodies for individuals, small businesses, and schools. What does this mean for you and your family and your business? Let's find out. But first, if you're new here, my name is Eric James. I'm a CPA and a registered investment advisor. I produce weekly videos designed to help small business owners, entrepreneurs, and individuals make smart financial decisions. In this video, we're going to be talking about everything that you need to know about the HEALS Act, and without further ado, let's jump in. So here's the big one that I think that we all saw coming, and that is the additional $1,200 stimulus per qualifying adult and an additional $500 per qualifying dependent. Now, the language under this act actually expands the definition of a qualifying dependent to include older relatives that may be claimed on an individual's tax return. Now, there was some talk initially about the phase-out beginning at $40,000 per individual, which personally I think would be a much better option and would have been a much better solution, because really my philosophy is be as efficient with your money as possible and put it to where it's going to do the most good. And certainly if you are giving it to only households that are bringing in $80,000 or $40,000 for an individual, it's going to be doing a lot more good than really giving it to couples that are making up to $150,000 or completely phased out at $199,000. Most recently filed tax return will probably be used in this new calculation. I know personally in my practice, I saw a lot of clients who had much higher incomes in 2019 holding off on filing their tax returns so that the 2018 return would be used so that they could qualify for more stimulus. I'm sure that the IRS has caught on to this, and I'm sure that they will be using the most recent tax return of 2019 rather than using the tax return that they used to calculate the previous one, just again so that they base the stimulus off of your actual real income, not the income from 2 years ago. And in the case of people who time the filing of their tax returns, the IRS does indicate that any stimulus that was really undeserved does not have to be paid back, but also, we did see with the PPP that initially we heard that it would not be taxable, and look where we are. Another proposal under the HEALS Act is to cap the federal enhanced unemployment benefit to be 70% of what the recipient was making before they were laid off or lost their job due to COVID. I'm really happy to see this stipulation, honestly, because I think that we can all name at least a few people who have been making more on unemployment than they were previously working. There's something inherently wrong about that. And of course, the Democrats are giving this some pushback. I don't know how this is going to work out, but if I was a betting man, I would actually say that it will not be capped at 70% of what you were previously making. And I think that they'll just stick with the $600 a week until whenever they decide that enough is enough. There's also some talk of giving back to work bonuses to get people off of unemployment and back to work, which, I mean, really anything to get people back to work is a good idea in my opinion. However, I'm a little bit disappointed that we were put in this situation in the first place. The HEALS Act is also set to include another round of PPP funds, albeit a much more targeted round of PPP funds, which I discussed in detail in an earlier video, which I'll link up here and down in the description if you want to check that out. I won't talk about it too much here, but I will say that the new PPP is a lot more attractive than the original PPP, at least in my eyes, as the funds are much more targeted, and again, it is being much more efficient with the dollars that we are spending at an enormous rate. And I, like you, probably cringed a little bit when you found out that billionaires and hedge funds and Robert Kiyosaki were all receiving PPP money when you know that they did not need it. We also see some language that proposes an additional $105 billion for schools to help them reopen in the fall. And again, I think that this is absolutely fantastic, as education is one of the most important things that we can provide to anyone, young and old, but especially young. The act also states that the receiving schools cannot use the money to economically enrich themselves, and they can't use it to pay off any potential lawsuits. They have to use the money to get kids back in the classroom. Again, very happy to see this included. Now, as far as timeline, it's the government, so we don't ever really know, and things move very, very slowly in Washington. But what we do know is that the Senate breaks for recess on the 7th of August, so we should see something before then. Otherwise, Americans are going to be left with their hands out for the next month. And that wraps up what we know so far about the HEALS Act. And now, while they aren't providing stimulus with laser precision like I would like to see them, they are doing a much better job than they did with the first one, which was essentially an absolute money dump. We do still have some unknowns about how this will officially turn out, as the Republicans and the Democrats bicker over this, as they always do. One thing is for sure though, the federal balance sheet is about to get $1 trillion bigger. If you enjoyed this video and got some value, please consider dropping a like. And if you're interested in receiving weekly content that helps you and your business and your family make smarter financial decisions, please consider subscribing. But with all that being said, this has been Eric James. Thank you so much for watching. Farewell and good luck.